The morning sun spilled gently across the silver edges of Maplewood Diner, a small place where the aroma of butter, coffee, and maple syrup usually wrapped visitors in comfort. On most days, this diner was a symbol of warmth and routine. But that particular morning, its light could not push away the shadow creeping into the hearts of a few cruel boys. By the window, a young girl sat in her wheelchair. Her name was Clara. Before her rested a plate of pancakes. Almost like a fragile shield, she clung to against the stares of the world. Clara's face carried the quiet strength of someone who had endured much more than her years should demand. Yet her trembling hands betrayed a storm of unease. At the booth beside her sat a group of boys. They didn't stop at laughter. They crossed a line that no human being should ever cross. One boy knocked her plate to the floor, syrup and pancakes splattering across the shiny tiles. Another shoved her wheelchair back with a mocking push. The entire diner froze. Forks stopped in midair. The crash of the plate echoed, but it was the laughter of the bullies that rang louder than anything else. Clara's eyes filled with tears. She tried so hard to be strong, but humiliation burned deeper than pain. And so I ask you, dear listener, if you believe that kindness should always defeat cruelty, if you believe second chances matter and that no one deserves to be treated this way, pause for a moment. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Talks. Together, we can remind the world that compassion will always outweigh hate. Clara's story had never been easy. Born with a spinal condition, she had relied on her wheelchair all her life. Her parents often told her, "Your spirit was born to fly, even if your legs cannot." She clung to those words like a lifeline. But the world rarely showed mercy. Every day brought quiet stares, whispers behind her back, or pitying smiles from strangers who could never imagine her reality. But what she faced in that diner was worse than pity. It was cruelty sharp enough to pierce the soul. While the boys laughed and patted each other's backs, most of the customers looked away. Some shook their heads but chose silence. Even the waitress, frozen mid-aisle with trembling hands full of coffee cups, stood paralyzed by fear. Clara leaned forward, trying with shaking hands to gather the fallen pancakes. She wanted only to end the scene, to shrink away before the humiliation grew worse. But then, another hand appeared. Gentle, steady, and kind. An older man with gray at his temples bent down, quietly picked up the plate, and set it in front of her again. "Don't mind them," he whispered softly. But his eyes darted nervously toward the gang of teenagers. His kindness was like a candle flickering in the dark. Still, Clara felt exposed, wounded in a way that no one could see. She sat silently, her appetite gone, her throat aching with unspoken questions. Why does the world allow this? Why must those who are different be treated as less? The bullies bragged loudly, their cruel laughter echoing across the diner. Clara closed her eyes and prayed for the hour to pass quickly, for the nightmare to end. And then it happened. At first, it was just a distant rumble, like thunder rolling across the horizon. The sound grew louder, closer, until heads turned toward the wide glass windows. Dozens of motorcycles pulled into the lot, chrome glinting under the midday sun. The engines roared like a storm arriving at the doorstep. Conversations hushed, and the diner seemed to hold its breath. The insignia on their leather jackets was unmistakable. The Hells Angels. Known far and wide for their fearless unity. Their reputation preceded them. The bullies, who only minutes before smirked with arrogance, shifted uncomfortably. Their bravado began to crumble. The diner door swung open with a jingle, and silence swept through the room. A tall, broad man with a long beard and steel, hard eyes stepped in. His vest bore patches like badges of battles past. Behind him, more men followed until the diner seemed smaller, the air charged with tension. Clara's pulse raced. Her fear mixed with awe as she watched. The leader's gaze swept across the room, sharp and commanding. When his eyes landed on the bullies, they froze. But then, his expression softened as he turned to Clara. Without a word, he stepped toward her. Heavy boots thudding against the tiled floor, and knelt down. For the first time that day, Clara didn't feel small. She felt seen. She felt protected. The leader's name was Roar. He turned his head slowly toward the bullies. Their faces drained of color. No one dared to laugh. Though Clara couldn't hear every word he spoke, she saw the shame wash over them, their confidence melting like ice in fire. One by one, they slid out of the booth and stumbled toward the door, heads bowed, avoiding every eye. They didn't dare glance back at Clara. Outside, the line of motorcycles stood like a wall of steel, ensuring the bullies' humiliation was complete before they fled. But Roar wasn't finished. He called the waitress over, placed a large bill on the table, and told her to bring Clara anything she wanted. Pancakes, milkshake, pie, the whole menu if she pleased. He leaned closer and told Clara she was stronger than any coward who tried to hurt her spirit. Then, in a moment no one would ever forget, he took off his leather vest and draped it gently over Clara's shoulders. "Your family now," he said. Clara's tears fell freely, but this time they were not tears of shame. They were tears of gratitude. In a single hour, her world shifted. A morning that began in pain ended in transformation. She realized that sometimes, kindness comes from the most unexpected places, and that those who look the fiercest may carry the gentlest hearts. The diner erupted in quiet applause. Some wiped away tears. The waitress hugged Clara tightly, and promised her she would never again sit in that diner feeling invisible. For the first time in years, Clara felt hope rise inside her. Cruelty existed, yes, but so did courage. And sometimes, strangers could step in and rewrite the ending of your story. If this story has touched your heart and reminded you that kindness can bloom, even in the unlikeliest places, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Keenness Talks. Your support helps us spread stories that inspire and heal. Before we close, I have one special question for you. What would you have done if you were in that diner? Would you have stood up for Clara? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You might inspire someone else to find their courage when it matters most.